This is Brain Power FM News.
Hello and welcome to Metro News on Repa 100.5 FM. I am Ehi Ankili Ocheme. President Bola Tinubu has sworn in Tunji Deso as the 23rd Inspector General of Police at the Council Chambers of the State House, Abuja. The president also administered oaths of office to six commissioners of the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission and two commissioners of the Federal Civil Service Commission. The ceremony was held shortly before the Executive Council of the Federation meeting. Speaking to State House correspondents after his swearing in, the new police chief declared that state policing has come to stay, stressing that the Nigeria Police Force is not threatened by the development. He disclosed that a committee was set up this morning to review the issue of state police from the perspective of the Nigeria Police to ensure the force plays an active role in shaping the process. The trial of nine suspects accused in the 2025 Yelwata massacre has again stalled at the Federal High Court in Abuja following another adjournment. Justice Joyce Abdulmalik granted the adjournment following a request by counsel for the eight and ninth defendants, Y. Hassan, who informed the court that it was his first appearance in the matter and that the previous counsel representing the defendants had not transferred the case file to him. The trial court, however, warned that the matter is of significant public interest and that the court will not tolerate unnecessary delays going forward. The Director of Public Prosecutions, Rotimi Oyedepo, did not oppose the application but urged the court to grant a brief date. In another development, a federal high court in Abuja has adjourned the alleged terrorism trial of former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, and his son, Abdulaziz Malami, to 10th of March 2026. The adjournment followed a request by the Director of Public Prosecutions, Rotimi Oyedepo, who informed the court that the prosecution needed more time to familiarize itself with the facts of the case on grounds that the case file was recently transferred from the Department of State Services to the Department of Public Prosecutions. Counsel for the defendants Adetayo Adedeji, who did not oppose the application, however urged the court to strike out the matter if the prosecution fails to open its case at the next adjourned date, citing lack of diligent prosecution. Justice Joyce Abdulmalik subsequently adjourned the matter to March 10 for trial and for the prosecution to formally open its case. Malami and his son were granted 200 million naira bail with two sureties on the last adjourned date and remanded in Kuje Correctional Center, pending the perfection of the bail conditions imposed on them by the court. An independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has called for a re-engineering of mindsets towards elections in Nigeria ahead of the 2027 general elections. INEC Chairman Professor Joash Amupiton Sen, who made the appeal at the stakeholders briefing and presentation of the annotated peace accord in Abuja, said all hands must be on deck to make the country work by shunning the wrong mindset and avoiding unpatriotic practices. He also appealed to the National Peace Committee and other critical stakeholders to intensify efforts to rebuild public trust and strengthen peaceful participation in Nigeria's electoral process. Amopitan added that the Commission was open to scrutiny and constructive criticism that will enable it to perform better in the discharge of its duty.
My belief is that constitutionally, INEC is the custodian of Nigerian democracy and elections. So whatever comments that are made, I don't get angry. I take it and I try to dissect it as a commission, process it, and see how we can improve. So Nigeria belongs to everybody, and INEC is owned by everybody, including all the political parties. So when comments are made, we don't take them for granted, including those comments that have been made today. Because according to Bentham, reading the philosopher in law, and he said that law is about the greatest happiness for the greatest number. So if the greatest number are aggrieved, there's no responsible institution that will shut its eye. And no government should shut its eye to an aggrieved Nigerians. So that is why I will continue to improve on whatever we have right now to ensure that we have a free, fair, and credible election.
Earlier, former head of state and chairman of the NPC, General Abdusalam Abubakar, represented by the convener Most Reverend Matthew Kuka, reaffirmed the committee's commitment to providing a neutral platform for dialogue, mediation, and confidence building.
The responsibility of safeguarding our democracy rests with all of us.
NPC is a party.
We can't outsource this
National Peace
obligation to
Committee.
anybody. No matter the laws, INEC can only conduct free, fair, and credible elections depending on how we conduct ourselves. So none of us should consider ourselves as innocent as we always want to pretend to be. So the human heart must also change. The laws themselves cannot guarantee us, they only create a condition. A third road is good for cars to drive, but the drivers must be disciplined because if they are not disciplined, third roads become sources of accidents. So I want to encourage you, the National Peace Committee remains faithfully committed to working with all stakeholders, all of you, civil society, the security agencies, INEC, for the advancement of a peaceful, stable, and democratic Nigeria.
Moving on, the International Papillomavirus Society of Nigeria has called for the promotion of awareness campaigns and the education of Nigerians on HPV infection, prevention, and the control of the virus, especially cervical cancer, which remains the second most common cause of cancer morbidity and mortality among women in Nigeria. The IPVS country ambassador and Nigeria chapter president, Professor Mohammed Manga, said this during the 2026 International HPV Awareness Day in Abuja. The International Papillomavirus Society said the Awareness Day aims to raise awareness about the availability of prevention tools to promote education about human papillomavirus and to encourage governments and individuals in Nigeria to take action against the virus to save hundreds of thousands of women and men that can benefit from the HPV vaccine and screening for the early detection of cancer and treatment. The 2026 International HPV Awareness Day has the theme Transdisciplinary Papillomavirus Research in Nigeria, setting up an agenda. Before the news break tonight, the National Alumni Association of Federal University of Technology, Mina, has kicked against moves by the Niger State government to take over the Boso campus of the university over an alleged expiration of a 40-year lease. At a briefing in Abuja, the institution's alumni association said it has petitioned the visitor to the university, President Bola Tinubu, while appealing to the Minister of Education, the National Universities Commission, and the Committee of Vice Chancellors, as well as leaders of thought, to quickly intervene in the matter. The association accused the Niger State government of allegedly pretending not to know of a 2.5 million naira paid in purchase of the land 40 years ago, and he is pushing to invade the property. It vowed to approach the court should all efforts to persuade the Niger State government fall on deaf ears. You are listening to Metro News on Ray Power 100.5 FM. More stories after the break. Stay with us.
As the news drops, it breaks with us. Join us for news on the hour every hour. News desk at 12 noon, Metro News at 4 p.m. Enjoy infotainment, breaking and sports news at their best 24/7.
This is Ray Power FM News.
Thanks for staying with us. South Africa's former defense minister and anti-apartheid campaigner Monsieur Lekota has died at the age of 77. He played a key role in the struggle against the racist system of apartheid and was imprisoned on Robben Island alongside former President Nelson Mandela. Lakota went on to become chairperson of the African National Congress ANC, but broke away to form a rival party, the Congress of the People, COPE, citing allegations of corruption in the party, which has led South Africa since 1994. He died after a period of illness, COPE said in a statement. Meanwhile, a Japanese court has upheld an order to dissolve the controversial Unification Church, local media reports. Last year, a district court in Tokyo ordered the church to disband after Japan's Education and Culture Ministry accused it of manipulating followers into making huge donations. Today, the Tokyo High Court denied the church's appeal and rejected its arguments that the donations were part of legitimate religious activities. The church, popularly known as the Moonies, came under scrutiny after the shock assassination of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe in 2022. The man who shot Abe, Tetsuya Yamagami, said he had held a grudge against the prime minister because of his ties with the Unification Church, which had bankrupted his family.
And now, a business update from Ray Power 100 FM.
The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, has directed all electricity distribution companies DISCOs to reimburse 20.33 billion naira to customers for meters procured under the Meter Asset Provider MAP framework. The directive was issued in a document dated March 1, 2026, titled Amended Order on the Reimbursement of Meter Costs. The order requires that the total outstanding amount be fully recovered and disbursed to affected customers within 12 months, starting from March 1, 2026. Still in business, Nigeria's broad money supply M3 fell to 123.36 trillion naira in January 2026, compared to 124.4 trillion naira recorded in December 2025. The figures are contained in the latest monetary statistics released by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Broad money, or M3, comprises currency in circulation outside banks, demand deposits, savings and time deposits, as well as foreign currency deposits.
This is entertainment news on Ray Power 100.5 FM.
Veteran actor Francis Odega has criticized the current state of Nollywood, asserting that the quality of productions has deteriorated markedly. Speaking during a recent podcast interview, Odega maintains that the industry's golden era coincided with his active years when filmmakers prioritized originality and craftsmanship. He argued that contemporary productions often sacrifice depth for volume, with multiple films derived from a single script. Meanwhile, the former Beatles drummer Sir Ringo Starr has announced a new album and released a new single. The 85-year-old said the 10-track record Long Road will feature collaborations with Billy Strings, Sherry Crow, and Saint Vincent. It comes after he released the album's first single, It's Been Too Long, featuring Sarah Gerald and Molly Turtle on Tuesday.
Ray Power Sport.
The International Olympic Committee has partnered with the Nigerian Olympic Committee to deliver an advanced gender inclusive governance course in Abuja as part of efforts to strengthen women's leadership and institutional reform across Nigerian sports. The 3-day program, supported by Olympic Solidarity, will take place from March 23 to March 25 at the Media Center, Package B, Moshoda Biola National Stadium. Still in sports, Manchester United midfielder Jack Fletcher has apologized for using a homophobic slur that has led to him receiving a 6-match ban. The England under-19 international son of United legend Darren Fletcher was shown a red card in the 62nd minute of a 5-2 EFL Trophy defeat by Barnsley in October. At the time, it was not clear what had prompted the decision. However, the Football Association has now confirmed that Fletcher was sent off for calling an opponent gay boy and that he has admitted the charge.
Ray Power weather.
Slight dust haze is expected to prevail across the central states, and this will reduce horizontal visibility. Individuals with respiratory conditions, therefore, are advised to take necessary precautions. Now, the last line. According to an African proverb, when the roots are deep, there is no reason to fear the wind. And that's it for the Metro News, as produced by Kedonojo Kuliko. I am Ehi Ankilio Cheme. You can listen to us online on Radio Garden, online Radio Box, and tuning.com at Repa 100.5 FM Abuja. Join us at 6 p.m. for our next bulletin, Nigeria Today, for news across the nation. Good evening.